I find it much more useful just to express myself as I authentically am, and whether that fits in with the opinions of others or it doesn't fit in, like I really don't do myself any good by pretending to be something that I'm not. Like there's just so many different ways you can look at it. Like, I mean, none of us are really that abnormal. None of us are really that weird. None of us are really that strange. None of us are really that normal either. These are really just kind of like they're just like these kind of outdated concepts that really just kind of struggle to keep up with the dynamic reality as it unfolds. You know, whenever we're trying to like really criticize or to really kind of really tightly conceptualize or label something, it's like we get behind ourselves. And we lose touch with who we really are because who we really are is in the moment, unfolding, experiencing, breathing, growing. And when we're like in that process, but we're like, wait, hold on. I gotta make sense of this. I have to rationalize this. And so life goes on and you're just kind of standing there like wondering why things aren't making sense or you're feeling this pressure build up inside of you. And that's really just the energy of your own consciousness moving through the body, moving through the mind, moving through. And it's not something that you really can rationalize from a place of, separation. It's kind of like, you're if you want to know what it's like to go swimming, you have to get in the water. You have to be in the water, and you can sit on the shore and kind of look at it and like try to figure it out, but the flow of life is it's like it's moving right where you are. You don't have to go anywhere to find it. You don't have to make any big deal out of yourself. You don't have to parade yourself around and create a big image. You don't have to um, like rationalize your existence. You don't have to find the ethical reasonings or the why do I exist? How do I exist? Like the answers are in the willingness to be open to right now, to be right now, and to be open to what is coming through you. And you don't need a massive YouTube following. You don't need to be the next viral sensation. You don't need to be like this big celebrity figure on the television. You don't need to be somebody in a position of power or influence like a politician or a president or something like that. You don't need to be like on these kind of societal, I guess, kind of pedestals in order to be fulfilled, in order to be complete, in order to be truthful. You don't need anything to be truthful. You already are the truth. Your own experience is the truth. Your own self is the truth. And it really doesn't matter on an objective level, like what that experience looks like. Like, there are all kinds of people in this world, all kinds of beings in this world. There are all kinds of, you know, like extraterrestrials, aliens, fairies, demons, angels, people, animals, gods. Who knows where it begins or ends? Because there's so many questions to be asked and so many answers to be found. And, it's just a big sea of abstractions in the world outside. There's just a big sea of abstractions and different characters and different ways of looking at things. And if you're not truthful to yourself and you don't take the time to kind of just get in touch with yourself outside of all the external things and outside of all the things and all the people who are trying to pull you in this way and trying to manipulate your emotions over here and try to get you to think a certain way. And if you don't take the time to get away from that, just to kind of be in yourself, then it's very easy to get lost in that sea of abstractions. And you begin to prioritize someone else's version of reality over your own vibrancy. And then wonder why, you keep going back to this method or this ideology or this religion or this um just whatever it might be. But you keep going back to this kind of external thing and you wonder why it ultimately doesn't satisfy you and it disappoints you and it becomes kind of dull over time. Because it's not that life is so gray at that point of realization. It's more that these external things cannot compare to your own innate vibrancy. These things outside of you cannot compare to the majesty and the blooming just fragrance of your own spirit. And and again, it just is not something that I can paint for you. I can make a million pictures of the most vibrant colors and the most beautiful places and give you all kinds of amazing meditation techniques, and that's assuming that I know anything about any of these things. But, but even if I did, and I could give you all of these techniques and all of these pictures and all of these images and all these ideas, it still would only the best thing that the best thing that I could possibly relay to you is a reflection of what you already are. And that reflection could only be beautiful by virtue of you shining upon it and recognizing the beauty of yourself in that mirror. That's the best thing I could ever hope to externally convey to anybody. It's not about making money. You know, it's not that there's anything, again, it's just not about any external thing. They have their place, all the external things, they have their place, but it's like when if you take the time to get to know yourself, then you don't find yourself prioritizing the external things so much. Because on some level, we all know that they're temporary, they're i i somewhat illusory, depending on how you see things. But we know that these things, they can't fulfill us completely. What resonates with you is what resonates with you. And what you truly are is going to kind of flavor and and paint itself over everything that you experience. So the objective external world that we see is always going to be experienced in your own unique way. And as long as we spend energy and time kind of arguing about whose subjective reality is the best subjective reality, then we're really not getting to the core of who we are as beings. So there's really there's really nothing more to say. There's really nothing more to say. And yet there will be more messages and there will be more words and musings and inspirations. Of course, they just flow out of myself, out of the self, and out of yourself. They just flow like water from a tap, like water from a spring. It's been unearthed in in the digging, in the unearthing, the exploring of your own being. You unearth these reservoirs of spring water, of spring-fed inspirations, of beautiful kind of poetic feelings, fragrances, energetic fragrances, higher vibrations. It's a, just a deeper sense of reality, a deeper sense of yourself. And it doesn't need to be proven to anybody. It doesn't need to be demonstrated in order to be fully functioning, fully flowering, fully flavorful, delicious, nourishing. And maybe it's a funny thing to say, but you don't even need to be a poet in order to imbibe the poetry of life. You don't need to be a wizard to experience the magic. You don't need to be anything to experience it all. You just need to be yourself, what you already are. And if any idea of yourself or any abstraction of yourself or any concept of yourself is unfulfilling, then that's because you intuitively know on a deeper sense in a deep part of yourself that idea is a limitation on what you really are. That's how we know when it's time to change, it's time to move on, because we already are that freshness that wants to be expressed in the external world. And all we have to do is just let go of the old attachments to the past, to the things that once bloomed but now have withered. And then not only are we in the freshness, but we experience that the freshness is arising from out of our own self. So it's always pure. We are always pure.